Monoprinting with leaves on a gel plate is really good fun, and I have a twist on this old classic that will show you how to make a shaped layered leaf print on any shape of gel plate that you have. So decide what shape you want for that final print and then grab something that you can draw around that's the right shape and also fits the size of your gel plate. Or if you prefer, you could always just draw it freehand. Now I'm going to go with a circle today because, well, circle, they're pretty simple and they're great shapes, aren't they? But you could also use hexagons and triangles and cloud shapes and horses, whatever you like. So we're going to need to make a template and a frame before we start printing. So grab some spare paper, and printer paper will work perfectly for this. And let's make the template first. Now this will sit underneath the gel plate and will guide exactly where we're going to place everything. So draw your shape on the template, then place your leaf in the shape, wherever you want it to be. So have a play around with where you think it should go, and then once you're happy, draw around that too. And you know, it doesn't have to be perfectly perfect, but you know, you just need some lines there to help you to line up that leaf each time you put it on the plate. You also want to be able to see the lines through the gel plate, so what we're going to do is, if you use pencil like I did, then go back over some of those lines with a darker pen so that you can see them. For this technique, we'll also need to be able to put the gel plate in exactly the same position each time we do it. So on this template, I also want to mark off the sides or a couple of corners of the gel plate so I can position it up every time. Now I tend to keep my gel plate on its acetate sheet backing, and I would suggest you did that too for this particular technique. And that way the template won't get stuck to the gel, but you are going to need to keep checking that the template and the plate are lined up because it will slip around a little bit. Okay, template is now done. So the next thing we want to make is our mask frame. And this is going to basically be a mask of our chosen shape. So you want to draw the shape again on another piece of paper, and this time we're going to cut it from the paper to leave a frame. So make your first incision inside the shape, then cut around the drawn outline. Okay, so we're ready to start printing. So I'm going to line up my gel plate onto that template using those lines that I've already drawn on there. Then I want to line up the leaf with those leaf marks as well. Cover the leaf with a thin layer of paint and take a print. Now this print isn't the final one. It's just to remove the excess paint from around the leaf, because as you'll see in a minute, doing this will leave an outline of your leaf on the plate, and it's that outline that we want for our final print. And you can see I've used my leaf a few times and there are a few layers of paint already on it. And you can keep using your leaves like this, but the more paint that gets on them, the more likely they're going to leave paint on your gels or on your print as well. So if you don't like that, then you might want to keep them cleaner by just giving it a little bit of a wash, or perhaps, you know, use a cleaner leaf. So carefully remove the leaf, but keep it because we're going to need it again in a minute. Right, so now on our plate should be a very thin blue paint outline of the leaf. You're probably unlikely to be able to see it here on the camera, but when you look at your own gel plate, you should be able to see it. And you want to leave it a few minutes to dry a bit. Then cover the plate with a thin layer of a neutral colour like a buff, or I'm using a Naples yellow red light colour, which is just very similar to a buff. And you need to work relatively fast now because we want this layer to be thin enough that we can see the marks of the template coming through, but we don't want it to be so thin that it dries really quickly. So make sure your plate is lined up with the template, then line up the frame mask with the shape that you drew on the template. So the print we are now going to make is the first layer of our final print. So line up the top left hand corner of this sheet of paper with the top left hand corner of your frame mask, not the template that's under the gel. Because you've got that frame mask lined up where you want it, then it doesn't really matter now where the template is for this particular print. Smooth your paper over the plate and make sure you rub right around the inside of your shape to make sure that you pick up the paint right up to the border of the shape. And when you pull this print, you should have your shape and the leaf outline. If you don't, and there's still a lot of paint left within that frame, then it might be that you just had too much of that neutral paint on the plate. So quickly line up another sheet with that top left-hand corner and pull another print. Or if your plate is clean, but you have no leaf outline, then it might be that you pressed a little bit too hard when we did that very first print with the blue paint. So try that again and see how hard you have to press to leave that outline of paint around your leaf. And don't forget, you're also going to need to remove your frame from the plate too, but keep it because we're going to need it again in a minute. Right, so we're now going to do the second layer of our print, and for this one, what we're going to do again is line up, make sure that the plate is lined up on the template, then reposition your leaf so it lines up with the template too. And pick a lovely contrasting colour to that first colour that you used. So I'm going to use a pink because I used a nice blue, so I've gone hot cold contrast. But have a play with your colours and you can see which ones you really like to match up together. Keep this layer thin, and again we're going to need to work quite fast because then we want to line up the frame mask one more time with that shape that's on the template. And once we've done that, we can then take our print again. So bring back the piece of paper with your leaf outline print, and just as we did before, line up that top left hand corner of that piece of paper with the frame mask that's on your gel. And carefully rub the back to make sure that the leaf print works. Go right up to the edges of the shape as well so you pick up all of that paint. Now when you pull this paper, you now have a final shaped layered leaf print. So don't forget to remove your frame and your leaf from your plate and enjoy your unique layered print with its different colours and textures. Now I have some more gel printing videos here, so watch these next and I'll see you there.